Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much, as always. What's that big groan for?
Well, it was a late equaliser.
What, in the Galaxy game?
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I can't take it.
You got any plans tonight?
I'm going to go and re-watch that, see what I missed the equaliser.
Oh, there you go.
Not necessarily.
No? Okay. Jan is with us, Gab as well. Jan, you're not sat in front of a hotel room door.
My wife again, she's a quite good girl. I love her.
Good. Let's move on because we know what you're like. Craig talked about missing the bus yesterday. Did any of the guys miss a plane? And did they turn the plane around?
Missed a plane too. It's a different story.
So you and Dennis Wise, was it?
Correct.
What happened?
Well, the plane left.
Well, why weren't you in the vicinity of the plane before it took off?
Because we were perusing around the airport.
What are you perusing? Oh, some duty free. Oh, what do you think, Dennis? Does this smell nice?
Oh, isn't Heathrow Airport domestic terminal lovely? Let's just have a walk around.
Oh, lovely. Were you in the bar?
No, I was having a pizza.
Oh, really?
Airport pizza, not the best. Needs must.
Gab would not approve of airport pizza.
No.
No.
Want the best.
No.
Missed the plane. I got dropped. He was the captain.
Oh, you got dropped because of it?
No, I think that was a good excuse.
Right. So the plane took off. Obviously, it didn't come back and get you. So then, how did you?
Oh yeah, what happened was the plane took off, and the pilot called air traffic control, and there was a gazillion airplanes coming in. And said, "Oh, we've left a couple of players. We were going. The reason we flew, because we were going to Bolton to play in the Easter Monday game straight off the back of the Saturday.
Okay.
None of that rotation nonsense back then.
No.
2 days later, and so instead of driving up on the Saturday night or the Sunday in the bus, because it was so close together, we flew.
Right.
Well, some people flew.
Okay.
I flew eventually.
Yes, yeah, of course.
And I arrived at the hotel with Dennis, very sheepish.
Oh, there you are.
Glenn was the manager. I was like,
yes.
Sorry.
There we go. On that subject, Gab, considering you're so pretentious and fussy about food, how do you deal with airport food?
You know, it's funny because there are actually some airports where you have reasonable food, and actually some even have good food.
Oh.
But no, I generally, you try not to eat in the airport, and if you have to, you grab a sandwich and minimize it. And make your main meal somewhere else. You don't go to an airport for a culinary experience, Dan.
Well, but you do know, you go to Heathrow Terminal 5 now, the British Airways terminal.
Right.
There is, inside that terminal, amongst other very posh eateries, there's a Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
Well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that it's particularly good, does it?
That means...
Just because it's Gordon Ramsay doesn't mean that it's anything good, does it?
That means that Gordon's there every day.
Gordon's there and Heathrow swearing
and he's back there, and he's making sure the steaks go out, and there is a Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, there you are.
I've never eaten in there.
Great.
But I'm just telling you, Gab mentioned choices.
Just because there's a Gordon Ramsay doesn't mean it's necessarily a good restaurant, does it?
That's slanderous. If he's watching this, you're in big trouble.
No, isn't it? His restaurants are in trouble, aren't they? But as we go a bit off topic.
They're incredible.
Go on, Gab.
I love them.
No, I was going to say, just to give you an idea, Gordon Ramsay's restaurant at Heathrow's Terminal 5, it's actually literally called plain food, as in food that you would get on a plane, except it's served on the ground with Gordon Ramsay's logo. That is actually what he called the restaurant, because I think fundamentally he's an honest person and he knows that in an airport you're going to be restricted in terms of what you can offer in terms of culinary experience.
Well, there you go. We got Michael Jordan's steakhouse down at the casino. Is he down there?
Casino.
Down at Mohican. Or Foxwood, one of the two has got Michael Jordan.
Listen, don't try
down there making his steaks.
Don't try and dig yourself out this hole now. Yes, Jan?
Craig, McDonald's restaurant, McDonald's not always there, you know? You know that, do you?
What's happening?
I'll just tell you what the name of the restaurant is and whose name behind it.
Ronald McDonald's always there.
Ronald? Whether Ronald can get off his backside and go there.
But Dan, based on your
45
question...
years, I need a day off.
I demand. I've just had a double cheeseburger and I believe Ronald never cooked it.
Okay. How did we get here?
Well, you slandered a multi-millionaire restaurateur.
No slander, no slander.
Michelin stars.
Just said because his name was on it doesn't necessarily mean that it's any good.
Well, he would maybe beg to differ.
Jan, did you miss a flight, miss a bus of note?
Must have.
No, but I had another for 3 weeks ago. I went home to see my parents, and I'm going with a boat to the airport as you do in the west coast of Norway.
Wow.
And I was going from Hareid to Ålesund, and I slept on the boat. So when I woke up, the boat was on its way back to the basic place. So that was a very close call, but I managed to get the plane because I'm always very early going to airports.
Very good.
We know somebody that goes to the airport early.
Yes, Stevie.
Very early.
Stevie's got some great airport stories.
Hours beforehand.
Well, who is the biggest crybaby that you've played with or against?
Oh, well, that's a good one. Crybaby.
I'm going to say played with.
Yes, I know one.
Oh,
I have to hammer a teammate.
Okay.
Øyvind Leonardsen. Sorry, Øyvind. He played for Liverpool, Tottenham, and Aston Villa, and I played with me in the national team. And he was like a bit grumpy, like Craig.
Yes.
But he was also a bit crying as well. I remember we went to a restaurant. He was never. The restaurant is bad, and this is bad. Everything was bad.
Like
you know that time. Sorry, Øyvind, because you were a hell of a player, but sorry about that.
Well, to be honest, I've only ever done that once.
What was that?
Well, it's when the producer of this show decided.
In Cardiff.
Gab was there.
Yes.
And the first night, we arrived in Cardiff, Champions League final, quite a few years ago.
Yes.
Quite a few choices. And where did
we went to a smokehouse.
A smokehouse that you could throw a stone from the hotel.
Yes. Yeah. Gab, didn't you have a peanut butter marg? What did you have, Gab? There? I remember you licking the glass clean.
Oh.
It was such a surreal place.
Yes.
That, like, we would go to this sort of faux American barbecue choice in Cardiff. And I know that Craig really wanted to get a curry or some proper Italian food, which I think we ended up going to the same Italian restaurant every other night after that. And it's almost like the producer, to punish him, said, "Ooh, let me take him to the smokehouse."
Yeah.
That trip haunts me, not for the reasons that you think. I won't mention that. I travelled with the aforementioned producer.
Right.
I kind of thinking back now, I reckon somebody put me up to it.
Why? What happened?
Well, how come he ended up in the same flight as me?
I don't know.
Out in New York, and I had to pick him up at his house.
Did you pick him
up? Not driving. Thankfully, we had a driver. All expenses
Why
paid.
did you pick him up?
It was on the way from Connecticut down to his part of Connecticut.
Right.
On the way to the airport. So I picked him up, and I knew it was going to be a difficult trip when he came out with his NYCFC tracksuit top.
Yes.
And
backward hat?
Backward hat.
Yes.
Rucksack with a badminton racket. Squash racket. The squash racket hanging out the end of it. And I thought, I'm travelling with this man.
There you go. And then he took you to the smokehouse. What a lovely treat. You got to see Gab destroying peanut butter.
Walking on a plane with a squash racket hanging out the back.
Okay.
And guess what? He never played squash.
Who's your biggest crybaby? Did we get to that?
Ayo Berkovic.
Why?
I don't know, when he was at Celtic for a short. Ask John Hartson, he kicked him in the head.
Yeah,
I don't know.
George Hartson.
I didn't do
you
it.
can't say that, Craig.
Craig,
that is the worst attack ever done.
Yeah,
on
I'm not condoning it. I'm just telling you what's out there. He did do it. But I wouldn't have done that. But John did.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
For whatever reason. But he was a different character.
Okay, here we go. Gab, what's for everyone? I'll start with you. Who is your favourite athlete from your country of all time?
Ooh.
Well, there's
Which
so
country?
many I could
Italy.
mention.
Gab's
He's English.
He's not English, he's
From
Italian. Look
Italy.
at him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm English. Easy there. No, I'm actually going to go with Pietro Minea, who set the 200-meter world record, I believe, in 1979. And it's one of those records that 19.72, and it stood until Michael Johnson, I think it was, pulverized it. But that record stood for 25 years, something crazy like that. It's just not supposed to happen that way. A very nice man, incidentally, became a university professor. I had the privilege of meeting him many years later.
Oh, I'm sure he says the same. Craig?
Do you have an Italian passport? Gab,
Who are you asking?
British passport, Italian passport.
Yeah, I don't have
It's
one.
the only passport. It's the only passport I have.
You don't have you've got a British passport. Come on.
Why would he have a British passport as well?
Why not?
No,
Because he's got
obviously
the
not.
Italian
Why
one.
would I?
He lives in Britain.
So?
He's lived there for years.
Doesn't matter.
I've known that man 20 years. He's lived in Britain.
Right, what about you?
I've got a British passport.
Right, favourite... yeah, what did you...
Hoping to have an American one at some point. If this show keeps...
Favourite
this continues, that might...
Favourite athlete
Alan
from
Wells.
Scotland? Alan Wells?
You don't know who Alan Wells is. You're looking at...
Yes,
He's a
100
sprinter.
meter, 100 meter.
At that point,
100
I used to
meter.
watch something.
Sorry, can you acknowledge that I do know who he is? Even though you just said I didn't?
He's not a sprinter now.
Well, he's probably still fast.
Alan Wells, dipping at the... Remember
Yeah.
him dipping? You
Yes.
don't remember that. What do you remember?
Jan.
I got a Norwegian passport, but yes, I remember Alan Wells. I think he had 9.9 on the 100 meter. They didn't have.
Not Alan
he
Wells, we
was
don't care about him anymore.
Yes,
Your favourite Norwegian
the-
athlete.
You must have a German
Well,
passport, yeah, as well.
The last 5 years, we have suddenly got a lot of athletes now being great at great sport, world sport. As we know, have Casper Ruud in the US Open final, as you know,
Yes.
tomorrow. So they will be candidates for the best athletes we've ever had. But if I should take out one favorite that I have, it's also a young lad who is Karsten Warholm, who's doing 400-meter hurdles. He's
Yeah.
a good friend of mine, a lot younger than me, but from the same region. And Karsten Warholm be there. But you have Ingebrigtsen on 1500 meter. You have Evan Hovland at golf, of course. So it's good to be alive if you love Norwegian sport.
Beautiful. Good to hear.
Liz
On
McColgan, do you remember her?
Of course I remember Liz McColgan.
Her daughter's running
Her daughter's running now, isn't she? Yeah. Who's the other
Are you a parrot?
Sonia-
When I'm saying something, you're just repeating it.
Who's Sonia?
Sonia McLaughlin.
Yeah. Runner as well, wasn't she? Okay. For Jan, will you and the Haalands be at the US Open final tomorrow?
Oh, I will probably not be hitchhiking with Erling Haaland's private jet if he goes. No, but I would love to be there. I was sitting last night with my wife, who was very optimistic. So whatever trouble Casper Ruud was in, she said, he will win. And I said, can you please understand how nerve-wracking this is? But it was fantastic last night to see him beat the Russian in 3-1, and we are very, very proud of him.
Oh, I bet she's glad that you're back, Jan. With that sort
She's
of
already asked him.
Yeah, exactly.
She's already asked him when he's
Jan,
finished.
our producer who says that he knows about tennis says your boy has absolutely no chance tomorrow.
Against Alvarez. Yeah, I know, Pete. I was with the producer. We were texting last night when he was doing well.
Oh,
so
What a night.
maybe, but to add to it, boys, the winner will be world number 1 on the ATP ranking. So there's a lot to play on, not only big money.
Well, there we are.
He's a squash player.
Yes.
He knows nothing about tennis.
He watches a lot of tennis. You don't watch tennis, so you're not into it. Stevie watches it.
He watches YouTube. I used to watch tennis a lot. I
Right.
just don't watch it now. But I used to watch it when it was McEnroe, Borg and all those.
With the Champions League and Europa League back in action with some incredible atmospheres, what has been the best atmosphere or away stadium you've been to or a part of during your career, Gab?
Well, the best stadium atmosphere I've ever been at internationally was the Westfalen Stadium, as they still call it, 2006 World Cup semi-finals, Italy against Germany. For pretty obvious reasons, it kind of felt like you were like in the belly of the German beast there. But man, atmospheres, incredible ones at Milan Derby. The one that stands out for me, just because I've only been once, whereas other great atmospheres I've gotten to experience more than once, is the Old Firm.
Right.
I was at Parkhead years ago and watched actually Rangers beat Celtic and win the title, or come close to winning the title. That was just unbelievable. But I'm sure Craig has lots of stories about that.
Celtic Park, Gab.
There you are. Celtic Park, Gab.
Maybe it was Parkhead back in the day when Gab was there. Celtic Park is a great arena.
Yeah.
Honestly, is a great arena. But I have to say, and I've told you this, commentating the game in the San Siro, the Milan Derby, that was, even though the stadium's pretty old now, the unbelievable atmosphere. Fantastic.
Jan?
I think that I will go to Westfalen Stadium. I went from sitting on a bench for Barca in the Championship, playing for Eintracht Frankfurt in Dortmund. That nearly broke me into tears because the atmosphere was so great. And in the national team, we played Scotland in '89 at Hampden Park when Scotland qualified for the World Cup. And the atmosphere was unbelievable. And a TV reporter, I did Celtic against Malmö. And I thought that Liverpool fans sung "You'll Never Walk Alone" very loudly. But they haven't been to Celtic Park. That was massive.
Do you think Barca can win the Champions League?
Are you asking me?
I'm not going to
Yeah, well,
sorry,
yeah,
Jan.
no, yes.
Go on, Jan. You can answer with your Champions League ways.
Yeah, I put my glasses on.
Yeah, it's still the same question.
Yeah, can they do it? Yes. Do I think they will win it? No.
Gab?
100% what Jan said. Once you get to the knockouts, anything can happen, and there's enough individual talent. Are they the favorites though? No, they're not right now, but they're not far off.
I don't think so.
Gab, who would you wager your money on winning the World Cup? A South American team or a European team?
Italy will win it.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, Italy, Norway playing friendlies throughout November.
With Scotland.
I'm still trying to find investors for that alternative World Cup involving Italy, Norway, Colombia, Scotland. You know, we have the superstars, Holland, but why not? Anyway, exactly. But all right, if I was viewing this purely from a betting perspective, and I was betting my mortgage on it, I would have to say Europe, simply because they have many more teams in the competition. Whereas outside, South America, I think Brazil and Argentina are really the only two who can realistically win it this time around. So I would go with Europe. If I had to pick one team, I might be persuaded to go with Brazil.
Are you going, Gab, to the World Cup?
Yeah. In fact, I think it's 70 days away, something like that.
Oh.
Right around 9.5 weeks away, Dan.
Oh, good. Jan, are you going?
No, I'm not.
We're going.
Are you going?
Oh, what a lot of fun.
We are sending the odd individual or two.
How much time did you all think Rodgers has left being Leicester's manager? He went from winning the FA Cup, fighting for top four, to only get 1 point in 6 Premier League games this season.
Well, I don't think there's too much time left, but it does run, in my opinion, it runs a lot deeper at that club than just Brendan Rodgers. As a generalisation, the recruitment has been very good up until the last season and a half, where it's been non-existent. Selling the best players now. I'm going to say, I mean, they still have a decent squad, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to say he's maybe a game or two away from them making a change. I don't think I would have said that 12 months ago, but I think it's quite close.
Gab, why are you getting worked up about this?
No, I'm not. Look, I think what you saw with Leicester, very obviously, is, and we see this all the time, right? Owners coming in, we're going to invest. I thought they really spent their money really well for a while. They spent a lot of money. And then last season, with all the injuries and one or two other things that didn't quite work out, they didn't go to the next level. And now, very naturally, these things are cyclical. The owners, I think, are saying, we're not going to keep throwing good money after bad. And so I think that puts pressure on Rodgers. And it does feel as if Leicester, I'm not saying they've given up on trying to break into the top six, but they were on their way to potentially doing it. And now it looks like maybe they're going to go back to a different dimension. Because those owners have spent so much money on that squad. People don't quite realize how much money. And logically, at some point, the tap gets turned off.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.